Over the years, UFO groups have been forced to evolve according to the interests of their members. Their interest is often tempered by the events themselves and by pressure from the media. UFOs are not the same today as they were years ago. To better understand this evolution, we have to go back to the Kenneth Arnold affair in 1947, which spawned the expression, flying saucer. No one is better qualified to lead us back in time than French sociologist Pierre Lagrange, a research scientist with the Center for Sociology of Innovation in Paris. Pierre has written several reports on UFO studies, and over the past few years, he has gained recognition as one of the world's leading authorities in the field of UFO history.
The Kenneth Arnold affair marked the beginning of flying saucers. That was when the expression flying saucer was first invented. His story happened on June 24, 1947. He was a 32-year-old private pilot and businessman who saw strange discs flying over Mount Rainier, Washington, in the American Northwest. According to Arnold, they were flying twice as fast as the speed of sound. And they had an unusual shape. They were not exactly saucer-shaped. They were rounded in the front and triangular in the back.
And he described their flight as saucers skimming over the water. And when he reported this to a reporter, a news reporter, the journalist wrote down flying saucers, and the name was born and has been with us ever since.
The objects seen by Kenneth Arnold were probably nothing more than a flock of migrating birds. However, his story gave birth to the modern era of flying saucers. Back in 1947, unidentified flying objects were not synonymous with extraterrestrial spacecraft.
At the time back in 1947, Kenneth Arnold thought he was seeing secret weapons. Obviously, the prospect of extraterrestrials was soon raised. If we look back at the first articles written in the press on June 26 and 27, 1947, the objects were not only presented as extraterrestrial airships. That was just one theory among others. The theory of secret aircraft was the most popular.
The day after Kenneth Arnold's observation, the U.S. Army put up a wall of silence and took extraordinary defense measures.
Planes are on patrol for flying saucers. Cameras installed to photograph them. Portland, Oregon, the area from which came the first weird reports.
However, despite all of the military's preparations, an entire fleet of flying saucers seemed to be descending upon the United States. Throughout the country, Americans were claiming to have seen unidentified flying objects.
A lot of people these days, they're seeing flying saucers everywhere. Flocks of fantastic discs flying through the air.
Since the Army was refusing to release these reports to the public, small groups of 2 or 3 people each began collecting information on these sightings.
Seems to be looking for the mysterious disc.
It was the dawn of ufology, the study of UFOs.
There's a flying saucer with milk.
The first ufologists appeared in the 1950s in groups such as NECAP and APRO, which integrated a large mass of scattered information. At first, UFOs were only seen flying in the sky. They hovered and flew away, but didn't land. Then gradually, stories began pouring in about landings. Investigators changed their view over time.
History professor at Temple University in Philadelphia, David Jacobs is the author of the famous UFO controversy in America.
Well, I think that the role of some of the early UFO organizations like APRO, the Aerial Phenomena Research Organization, and NICAP, National Investigations Committee on Aerial Phenomenon, in the overall controversy over UFOs was really very, very important. I think that these are groups that continue to collect reports, they analyzed reports, they kept the subject in front of the public, and helped to also pioneer methodology for how you can do this, how you can actually investigate reports.
It was in this fervor of the 1950s that people began speculating that these unidentified flying objects were of alien origin. These speculations soon became the most popular way of interpreting these objects. Left in the dark, the more conservative researchers refused to share this opinion without an argument, were stigmatized as ignorant or having little faith by those who supported the theory. Now, 50 years after that initial sighting by Kenneth Arnold, we can only wonder how UFOs, which were originally thought to be top-secret weapons, came to be thought of as interplanetary vehicles. How is it that extraterrestrials have become the focus of UFO study?
One of the first people to introduce the idea that flying saucers were of alien origin was Donald Keyhoe, a former member of the U.S. military who became a journalist, and while working for True magazine in 1949 was assigned to investigate this story. Kehoe was rather skeptical at first, since most of the contacts he had kept in the Army told him there was nothing to the story. But as he dug deeper, he began to think that the military wasn't telling him everything they knew, that there may be something to the story after all. The article that he published in the January 1950 issue of True was one of the first to really popularize the alien theory.
3 years later, Donald Keyhoe wrote Flying Saucers from Outer Space, whose popularity at bookstores further entrenched the theory that UFOs were of alien origin.